There are a lot of developers I have met who hate working with Kubernetes because it's so complex. Wouldn't it be nice to just, get up and running with building and scaling your applications and other things like security and monitoring and da 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 da, so many things, right? And that is why we've seen so many tools and projects come out that provide that abstraction, right? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. I'm going to start with why, like why even use development tools? What's the whole point? And we're going to see an end-to-end demo from deploying a front end and a back end as well. And we're going to do it seamlessly without, let's say, if you're the kind of person who doesn't know much about Kubernetes, this video is for you. So without knowing much about Kubernetes, we're going to deploy all these applications. But yeah, very excited for this demo. I'm going to introduce you to some nice tools. All the links to the resources can be found in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for future videos, you can comment that down below as well. Let's get started. Okay, let's discuss some of the common challenges that developers face, and we're going to introduce a new tool called Choreo, how that offers a robust solution to these problems. So first thing I want to start with is the challenges, right? From speaking to many people at events and conferences, I've seen that integration complexities can be like a bit of a hassle. This basically means that you're integrating various services and your APIs and database. That can be a nightmare. And developers often also struggle with compatibility issues, data mapping, and ensuring seamless communication between different systems. A good example for this is that there was an infamous healthcare.gov launch in 2013. You can Google this, and the site crashed due to the integration failures among different contractors' systems, right? So that's just an example. And the second common challenge that I've seen people face is the deployment difficulties. You'll relate to this if you've been asked to do that. So deploying applications reliably is another significant hurdle. Manual deployments are prone to errors and often result in downtime. I did a video on this before as well. I highly recommend you checking that out. And in 2019, the Knight Capital Group lost 440 million US dollars in 45 minutes due to a faulty deployment script. That's also something you can Google. It was in 2019. Next one being, obviously, this is also something I see at events quite a lot. Everyone's been talking about it since the past few KubeCons I've been attending. Security concerns. So ensuring security across all layers of an application is crucial, but it's also challenging. And vulnerabilities can lead to like data breaches, loss of trust for users, and so many other things. Security obviously is, I don't have to tell you that, a big concern. A good example is that the Equifax data breach in 2017, it exposed personal information of, guess how much? 147 million people due to a failure in an update of a security vulnerability, right? And I can list so many security vulnerabilities examples in the industry, but I'm sure you're aware, because when such things happen, it's on a, it doesn't go unnoticed, is what I'm trying to say. Another one, what's the common challenge? Scaling issues, right? As your applications grow, scaling them to handle increased load without compromising performance becomes difficult. The Black Friday crash of Best Buy's website in 2014 due to unexpected traffic surge is a good example for this. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, observability, debugging, identifying and fixing issues in production can sometimes feel like finding needle in a haystack without proper observability tools, right? That's very crucial. Monitoring, observability, very, very important. And another good thing I like to point out over here is also for cost management. That you wouldn't know where your data is going and your money is going unless you have, unless you can see it. And a good example is the Twitter service outage in 2016. That was caused due to lack of proper monitoring that led to extended downtime. So yeah, regarding the question, why care about development tools and all these other things, common challenges, there you go. I shared some examples as well. And now that we've discussed the challenges, let's dive a little bit into how Choreo addresses these issues. All right, so what is Choreo? Choreo is an internal developer platform that redefines how you create digital experiences. It helps you design, develop, deploy, and govern cloud-native applications very effectively. In the previous section, I spoke about like 5 key challenges, and this is how Choreo solved these. So this is what I wanted to show you, like an overview of the features. Obviously, we'll do a deep dive and hands-on demo as well. We spoke about security as well. So Choreo provides robust security features, including managed access via APIs, events, and data, ensuring end-to-end security. Spoke about scalability. So when we talk about scalability, we're going to talk about Kubernetes, obviously. Leveraging Kubernetes, Choreo automatically scales your applications based on demand, which we'll see in just a minute. And observability, as well as I mentioned, that can be a challenge. So Choreo offers performance predictions, anomaly detection, and detailed logs to troubleshoot and debug issues effectively. All right, that's all good, but what are the real world use cases for Choreo and what are the benefits? The number one being streamlined development. So your teams can code in their preferred languages and use native support for VS Code and GitHub, which enhances collaboration. So it's not like you have to completely redo your stack in order to use Choreo. It often also then leads to faster time to market because Choreo's automation tools help introducing the deployment cycle, which allows your business to launch new features rapidly. I mean, and not just Choreo. I mean, that's the point, for development platforms, IDPs. They want to take away all the jargon of Kubernetes, provide that abstraction so you have a faster time to market. Similarly, I mentioned cost briefly before. So because you're using Kubernetes, you're scaling on demand. Choreo helps in optimizing costs, ensuring that you're only paying for what you're using. And then there's enhanced governance as well with features like DORA metrics and API analytics. You can monitor and improve your DevOps processes. So that was a basic overview of like the challenges people face. For each of the 5 challenges, I mentioned how Choreo helps. Share a bit about the website that you can check out the links in the description below. I spoke about the real world use cases and the benefits. So I've been talking a lot for a while. Let's get our hands dirty and see Choreo in action and do a complete end-to-end demo. All right, so let's take a look at a very nice demo. The project is very simple. It's a reading list application. So you can add your books that you want to read. You can delete the books and the service, it communicates with the back end as well. We're going to use React in the front end. Obviously, I'm not going to share a lot more about the project itself because it's not a web development tutorial. But any web dev project or any project you have, you can use, I'm going to show you how to deploy it on Choreo without even worrying about Kubernetes or writing a single line of like YAML or whatever. I'm going to deploy it. I'm going to show you how to use their monitoring and observability features as well and what the tool has to offer. And we're going to learn about a lot of concepts as well, like creating a project, the concept of components and endpoints and connections and deployment tracks, so many other things. So it's going to be a nice little demo. All the links can be found in the description below, but I would not even worry about it too much because just check out the documentation, go join the Discord if you have any questions. And the community is really, really welcoming if you get stuck somewhere during the demo. But yeah, let's get started. So here's the website and I'm just going to click on continue with Google or GitHub. I'm going to log in using my vMake Devs ID and pretty straightforward to sign up. We'll see it redirect. Now this is my dashboard. Here you can see that we have our vMake Devs organization, and once you're in your organization, what you can do is you can create a project. So here we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to say Choreo demo, and it's going to populate the name on its own. I'm going to give it a description. This is a project to deploy web application. And after that, I'm going to select the region. US is fine. I'm going to click on create. So we're going to deploy a complete end-to-end web application in this demo. We'll use, showcase the databases as well and backend services and all these other things. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with create multiple components, or you can directly create the service as well. I'm going to start with creating components. So you authorize your GitHub. Once you authorize your GitHub, you have to select your repository. I have this Choreo demo repository. I'm going to select that, and I'm now going to deploy the service. So we're going to create a component for this service, and these are my configurations for my component. And I'm going to select Node.js because I am, creating a backend service for Node.js. And we're going to select the version. I'm going to click on save, and I'm just going to finish this. So this is going to create my components. You can see that reading list is being created. I'll show you in just a minute what my project looks like on GitHub as well. But yeah, essentially it's pretty seamless to get started in that way. And yeah, so reading list has been created. This is what you can see over here. Other thing I want to show you is you have to go to the organization in the dependencies. You go to database and you create a new database. So we have been using and configuring MySQL. So we're going to select MySQL. I'm going to give it a name, for example, Choreo database. Click on next. Now for this, I have to select a database. You can actually select anything over here. It depends on you. I'm going to select AWS and click on United States region and the service plan. I'm going to click on create. And it will take a few minutes to start this up, but after that you'll have the the port, you'll have the default user, the database as well, and the host as well. So while that is being configured, I'm just going to go to GitHub to see which code we'll be deploying. I'll show you, and by the way, all the links you can find in the description as well. Going to Choreo demo, I'm going to reading list service, and here I'm going to go to, we're going to see the database, the configuration that we have, our database name, for example, the name, the password, host, and port that we're going to provide. And we can also see the schema or the model that we have created over here. So book will have an ID, it will have a title, status, whether we're reading the book, will have the author name, and yeah, that's all set. We also have the app file, meaning all the, it's sort of like a CRUD API. So you can, for example, add a book, you can get the list of all the books, you can delete a particular book, and just standard GET requests and other things. These are basically the environment variables that we have to store while we are creating the database or when we are deploying the service. I'll show you in this demo, and this is basically just the front-end code. And what I'm going to do is we're going to structure this demo in a way that we're going to create a different component for the front-end. And here we have the whole front-end written in TypeScript. We're going to deploy it through React. And yeah, it's basically about it. We also have the API. This is basically for the authentication code, for the managed authentication that we're using of Choreo. This is basically what we have to configure to implement the authentication. All right, so reading list service has been created. I'm going to go to build, and I'm just going to build it. It's pretty straightforward. You can select the sort of like the commits that we have made in the open source project in the last, in the past basically. So we have, you can see the commits like database was added, fix was created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the latest build. It's going to take a few seconds to build. I'm going to refresh to see if my database has been created or not. Just going to reload this, and you should see that my database is active. It's now up and running, and you have your host, port, your password, and everything. Now we're going to come to our reading list service. It's going to take a while to deploy. Until then, actually what I can do is I can add this database in my MySQL workbench. I'm just going to copy the host name. I'm going to click on new connection, paste the host name. Similarly, I'm going to paste the port number, paste. I'm going to paste my username, paste it. And I'm just going to give this connection a name called Choreo database. Host is done, port is done, username is done. I'm going to click on view password to get my password. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. That looks good. Okay. Click on my database and we're just going to wait to see when we have a SQL editor open. It's going to take a few seconds. There we go. That looks good. Now you can run the SQL queries, but you can also see the DB schema on the left hand side. You can check your tables. I don't have anything right now, like empty tables and everything, so we have nothing. Cool. That looks good. Pretty good stuff. Build is done. You can check the build details and finalization and everything is done. All right, the other thing is you can also select auto build. So whenever someone, let's say, makes a new commit, Choreo is automatically going to, build that. Now I'm going to come to deploy section. So you can either directly deploy or you can click on configure and deploy. So because we're going to do configure and deploy, because we have a database and we're going to use environment variables, hence I'm going to click on configure and deploy. Now I just need to add in the DB host environment variable and other environment variables. I'm just going to paste it and I'm just going to add in my value. So I'm just going to add it the host value. See, it's pretty straightforward. I'm doing a lot of copy pasting, which I like. Next thing is DB port. Again, I'm going to paste. You can double check. Yeah, that's fine. These are all standard values for the services. What else do we need to add? Let's go back. DB name, copy this, paste this. DB name is the default username. No, actually it's the default database. That should be fine, yeah. So do make a note of that. Next is the DB user. So paste this, and now I'm gonna copy the username. Paste it. You can also make these environment variables a secret if you want. And the last thing is the DB password. Copy this, paste it, add. All right, all the environment variables are done and configured. I'm going to click on next. Now what we're going to do is if we have any file mount, we can add that. Right now we don't, so I'm just going to click on next. And then we'll have the whole REST API endpoint details it's going to show us. For example, it's going to be the name, that's the port, that's the status, which is pending, type REST application, also the context and the schema and the network visibility will be public. I'm going to click on deploy. It's saying deploying, started the deployment of the reading list service. It's showing me the countdown. It's saying that it's active. So because it's active, I think I'm gonna, we should check. It just says active, but for the sake of the demo, we should go to the, deployment track. I'm gonna check. So I'm gonna try out the get request. I'm gonna execute. It should show empty right now because there's nothing. So this is loading. And we can see whether it's triggered or not. So I can go to, it's again now showing the deployment status is progress, because when we activated the service from the console, it actually triggered it over here. I'm going to go back to console and try it out. I'm going to click on execute, for example, and now here you'll see the output. It's empty because we don't have any we don't have anything added over here. Cool. Meanwhile, what I can do is I can also go ahead and check in the SQL workbench. So I can say show databases and execute this. Here you will see, there you go, our default DB, and nothing else is available over here right now. So we need to add something. So I'm going to make a post request to books and try it out. It's going to create my author. I'm going to give it someone else. Let's call the author we make devs. Status read is fine, and title we can just write what? Choreo demo. Okay, let's just do something like that. Execute. Now my book should be added. You can see that it is added. This looks good, no errors as such. Now I'm gonna click on like execute the get request again, and now you can see it's not empty. It's giving me actually one entry. Similarly, you can check it from the MySQL workbench as well. In the tables, you can see that books table has been created. You can say use default DB, or you can say select star from books, and oh, there's a spelling mistake. Default DB. I'm going to run this. That should be fine. Okay, no errors. Select everything from books, and you can see now title Choreo demo, author we make devs, right? So just the book that we added right now, we were able to see this in the database. Cool, that's working pretty nice. Backend service is nicely deployed, and database is also, you can check it from here. It's already created. Logs you can check over here related to this database. For example, you can see if we have added something or the connection that has been made. You can check the metrics for the database, CPU usage, disk usage. You can also explore backups and some advanced settings, meaning in which IPs do you want to allow the database. So a bunch of stuff you can do. All right, that looks good. I'm going to go to overview and in my organization for my project again. Now, what do I want to do? I showed you everything. We showed you the backend service, environment variables, databases. Okay, one thing is left, front-end application. Go back to the front-end. I'm going to create a new component for the web application. I'm going to give it a name called, let's say, reading list web app. So this is going to be similar to what we did before. I'm just doing it twice so you get the hang of how easy it is to use Choreo. So we did backend, now we're going to do front end, and those are going to work together. So it's going to be pretty cool how seamlessly you can deploy your applications. This is a front end component of application that looks good. You can select your version control system, again GitHub, select your organization. This is also a single source of truth. You can put all your code in GitHub, and Choreo is going to do all of these things on its own. So I'm going to select React, select the directory, continue, and I'm going to give it a build command, npm run. No, not npm run. The build command is npm install and npm run build. That looks good. Build path, we're going to just write disk, I believe. Disk, yeah. And node version 18 is fine. That looks good. I'm just going to click on create, and the configuration looks fine. It should be updating shortly. This is created. That looks good for the front end component. Now, similar stuff. We're going to make the connection before we do the previous steps we did before. Create a new connection. Click on reading list service, because that is our backend service. So here actually what we're doing is connecting the front end with the backend. So to create this connection, we're going to click on, we're just going to click on like a new name. So we're going to enter a new name. I'm going to give it a description. And this is a connection between the front end and the backend. So whatever description you want, you can write. And these all steps that I'm taking, I'm only going to do it once. After that, whenever I push up a new commit or a new PR gets merged in my open source project or your company's project, it's going to run, the Choreo is going to run on of this on its own when you select the dedicated options. This actually is very important because we're going to copy the service URL to make this connection. This is done. Our connection has been created. What we're going to do is I'm going to keep it open as it is. I'm going to open to I'm not going to close that because I need that URL. So I need the front end component. I'm at the front end component, so I'm going to click on build, and I'm going to build the latest, the same thing like I did with my backend component. So build latest, that is fine. Again, yeah, all the things are fine. That is good. It has been built successfully, so that is done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have to deploy it. Again, the same thing. So we need the connection as we had previously. So again, we can deploy or configure and deploy. I'm going to click on configure and deploy because we have to add the file mount to make the connection. So I'm just going to copy this service URL, and I'm going to add it over here, API URL, and I'm going to paste this. That looks good, the thing we copied. I'm going to click on next. And authentication, managed authentication with Choreo. So I'm gonna let them do that. You can create new users if you want. And other thing is, make sure that you copy this password because it's gonna allow us to log in the when we deploy my application, when we deploy the application in logging in. Click on deploy. That is fine. So pretty seamless stuff so far. And deployment station source active. This is deployed. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to go to the URL. It's going to ask me to log in. Log in. Okay, that's working. That's fine. Click on login. I'm going to say demo. And then I'm going to add in my password. Cool, that you created as a user. And after logging in, you can see that the reading list is created. This is like the already added. It is already, you can see that there has been added the book that we created just to show you for the demo purpose. You can add in a new item. Let's say I can put a title name like we make devs again. Author I'll just keep as, let's say, my name. And status, let's say I'm going to click on, let's keep it as reading because we read is something we already have. I'm going to click on save, and here you can see that in the reading I have saved Kunal Kushwaha. Cool. You can do a bunch of stuff as well. Let's say I want to delete the previous one, so it's deleted, and if we are only left with one, we can log out as well. And I click on here and you can see it's logged out. Cool. So to see if it's actually working in our database as well, you can see that Kunal Kushwaha, we make devs, and status is reading. So this is working. Very cool. I showed you two components. This is all done. Yeah, very cool stuff. Lastly, I want to show you some observability features. So I'm going to go to the metrics section, and here you can see it's going to obviously get more populated once your project has been running for a while, but here you can see the runtime logs. You can also check, filter it based on the timeline. So last 10 minutes, as you can see, because I did the demo, we are seeing that we had certain requests, posts, and get. And there are some other features like you can check, the development, you can check the production, you can keep this sync on as well. For example, after every 10 seconds, you will be getting an input. You can check the view, diagnostics view, and this is all about, metrics. Yeah, and your runtime logs are all over here. You can load the latest logs as well. You can also check runtime logs separately. So here you can also filter it out based on the type because it can get a little bit overwhelming when everything happens at once. So let's say if I want to see, let's say, information. So here you can see these are all the logs containing all the information. You can check, clear it out, and I can check the environment. Let's say I say deployment or production, deployment track. You can see the branch over here, time range again, see for past 10 minutes how many logs I got, and I can also filter out all the error logs in the last 24 hours. And yeah, pretty cool stuff. And oh, we don't actually have any logs in the last 24 hours, so that's fine. It means you're a very good coder if you don't have any error logs. Cool. You can also check out usage insights of your complete project and not just one single component. You can see that there's a good amount of percentile latency, total traffic, and you can check different type of sections over here, API methods, all the counts for different types of methods, and standard stuff like filtration, like past 24 hours, your environment, and your overview, your errors, your traffic, latency. So all the things we saw in the overview section, there are dedicated sections over here as well. Cool. So here you can see in this dashboard a little bit more insights for your business. So slowest APIs, error by category. You can see the overview of all active components, how much traffic, how many releases. In the runtime logs, you can select the project. For example, customer reward project. And let's remove the past 24 hours thingy. And now here you can see the runtime logs as well for my rewards management app. So even if you have, let's say, bigger projects, a lot of projects in your demo organization, you can see how simple it is to sort of like abstract away various projects in their own, sort of like sections. That was basically about it. Yeah. And yeah, you can see environments. You can have more environments like testing and other things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And pretty straightforward stuff. We saw like a dedicated tutorial, backend, front end, database, environment variables, all the features regarding what all stuff you can do with your organization. Make sure you check out the links in the description below to learn more. If you have any questions, just let me know. But yeah, we basically saw it in action. Very cool. All right, so that was an end-to-end demo. Thanks a lot for watching, and I would just like to say, it's nice that we are seeing more and more such projects come out because they're addressing the integration complexities, the deployment difficulties, all the security concerns, scaling issues, observability challenges. So I think Choreo has done a pretty good job. I highly recommend joining the Discord community. Yeah, check out the documentation, get involved, give feedback, use the project. Check out the links in the description below as well. But yeah, if you have more Choreo specific questions, I think their Discord is the best way to ask this. And remember that effective tools not only enhance productivity but also prevent costly failures from the examples that I gave at the start of this video. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can also leave them in the comment section below. You can let me know if you have any suggestions for future videos or any use cases of Choreo that you like to see me cover in the future videos. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.